As full members. And then associate members are Sandra Blackman, Susan Sky Dawson, and Punso Om. And then we have in attendance here in this space, Bhante Bodhidharma, Venerable Metaji, Ajahn Brahm, Kantika, Khenpo Tsering Wangchuk, myself, Thubten Chökyi, Venerable Soma, Bhikkhuni Munisara, Venerable Pasana. Have I missed anyone? Nobody's saying whether I've missed
No.
them. TBA. Yeah. So then we'll have the those who are participating online, who are members. Well, there'll be Venerable Drolka.
Could you just ask people on Zoom, the NBN nuns and the NBN office, who's in attendance, please? Just put it in the chat.
Yeah, if you could put in the chat.
They haven't been responding, so I just wondered if...
NBM office and NBM nuns. Venerable Osaga, is it?
No, that's
Oh, that's you saying, sorry.
It's a lunchtime in NBN now.
3 hours more.
So the NBN nuns, can you let us know who's there? Maybe type in the chat if you're able.
Zoom. What we can do is add later.
Okay. All right. So we'll add any names subsequently. Venerable Drolka, Hojin Futin, Venerable Thubten Damchu, Ajahn Hasapana.
Jyotika is joining with her. Yep.
Venerable Jyotika. And whoever else we have here, we'll add the names later. Okay, that's, I think, all we can confirm for now.
Do we have a quorum? Yes.
We have a quorum.
For sure.
So apologies, we don't have any.
Could I give Ajahn Brahmali's apologies, please?
Ajahn Brahmali, any other apologies? And then, so now we move to accepting the minutes of the 2021 AGM that was emailed to all our members on the 10th of March. So can I ask someone to accept the minutes? Venerable Metaji proposed. Second, Ajahn Brahm. There being no objections, we can accept the minutes as circulated. Okay, good. All right, so any business arising? We don't expect any business arising from the AGM minutes from last year. Okay, so then we'll move to the Chair's report, which was also circulated. So firstly, it's wonderful to be able to meet here together at Jhana Grove and join with Sangha brothers and sisters online. In these uncertain times, it was unsure how we could bring it all together. Thank you, everyone who's contributed to making it happen so seamlessly, especially here, Bodhiyana and Jhana Grove. It's been wonderful. It's been an honour to serve as the chair of the Australian Sungo Association over the past year, and I extend gratitude to all my fellow committee members for your enthusiasm and dedication throughout the year. Thank you to Bhante Bodhidharma for our wonderful webmaster for giving ASA's website a fresh new look and maintaining it and keeping us current with events online. And while at the same time, also holding the role of treasurer Thanks to Venerable Minisara for stepping up into the role of secretary, which has been quite phenomenal, keeping the committee and members current through the regular communications going out, welcoming our new members and providing much appreciated support for us all, particularly again for the preparations for the AGM. Thank you, Venerable Metaji, for being also the backup secretary, stepping up at times when Venerable Munisara was on retreat and so forth, especially keeping the members updated, committee updated regarding charity status matters with ACNC and ATO, which is quite a minefield for the rest of us. So it's not an easy job. And on top of that, for coordinating ASA's response to the proposed amendments to the Religious Discrimination Bill, we presented joint responses with the Buddhist Council of New South Wales and also our own separate submissions. And Venerable Metaji was also able to participate in person, online, in a consultation process, giving back feedback to the government officials. And it would seem yet again for another year this has been shelved, or for now anyway. There's been a lot of media about that. So thank you, Venerable Hojin, for being there ready to step up as Vice Chair, and particular for your commitment to the heart circles, offering members a space for regular reflection and meaningful connection online. So we're pleased towards the end of this meeting to be able to relaunch this initiative as the Sangha Support Circles, which more aptly describes what the initiative offers members, and that indeed came out of surveys of members' needs. Thank you to Venerable Chikwan Sunim for graciously representing ASA with Meaningful Ageing Australia. And we're particularly interested in hearing from Sungo who are passionate about caring for the needs of Sangha as we age. We're very keen to hear from you. Big thanks to Venerable Temper for all your creative input and ideas, and generally being fantastic, zantastic. I put the words around the other way, you might notice. Committee member, that's the name of her presentation in the discussion groups this afternoon, zantastic, fantastic. So can't wait for that presentation on engaging with first responders, emergency workers at a time of phenomenal challenge for emergency services. It's truly courageous what you do. A special thanks to Ajahn Brahm, who's been a steady influence on the ASA committee since its inception 2005. So how many years is that? Generously offering the wisdom of experience and unflagging enthusiasm. And thank you to our previous chair, Venerable Bonom Sunim, for continuing to represent ASA on the Religious Advisory Committee of the Australian Defence Forces. And hopefully it has been circulated, the report from that, which is quite inspiring, quite impressive. So hopefully Venerable Sunim is able to join us to talk to that at this meeting. Otherwise that has been circulated to members. And also, so it's encouraging to see such a number of high caliber candidates training as Buddhist chaplains for ADF. And that's been for some years now that Venerable Sunim has been part of that committee representing the Buddhist space. And Venerable Sunim at the same time has continued to act and will continue to act as our public officer. So thank you very much. Thanks also to Bhante Sujato, our APRO representative. So unsurprisingly, this forum and many other public engagements of ASA haven't been very active over the past few years due to the challenges of the pandemic and the related restrictions on travel and gatherings, but we expect that to be opening up soon. And so following last year from the presentation at the AGM from the Ethics Working Group was formed, principally Venerable Ju Wei from Nantian, Venerable Metichi and myself, have worked on developing the ethical framework as a rich gathering of resources and approaches to raising awareness about ethical issues for Sangha in the environments in which we live, practice and serve. So we're now ready to pilot that framework in different monastic settings, temples, centres. So we're keen to hear from those who would like to pilot it in their particular context. For myself, it's been a joy to represent the Australian Sangha Association on the Sakyadhita Australia Committee and to be able to participate, thanks to Zoom, in the Sakyadhita International Conference online in December. And it's really worthwhile. Those presentations for the conference are still online. It was a sort of rich set of workshops and papers and films and talks. At the time of writing this last week, it was International Women's Day and a fitting time to celebrate the role of women in establishing Buddhist centres across Australia. Sadly, last November, we farewelled Ajahn Vayama, who pioneered the establishment of Dhammasara Nunnery here in WA. Committee members participated in the virtual launch of the Centre for Contemplative Studies at the University of Melbourne, and Venerable Bonham Sunim, who's presenting this afternoon with the reflective listening skills, along with Ajahn Brahm, is on the committee for the Centre for Contemplative Studies. We continue to be involved, many members of the committee, in offering a program of meditations online for the centre over the coming year, starting next month. Again, it's been an honour to serve ASA in various roles and celebrate what we have achieved over the years supporting Sangha in Australia, collaborating with different partner organisations to support the flourishing of the Dharma. At this time in the world, we find ourselves reeling as we witness the impact of the war in Ukraine, of all those who've lost their lives to war, to COVID, floods, bushfires, and other disturbances of the elements. May all the obstacles to peace in the world be pacified, starting with cultivating peace in our own minds and love in our hearts. And lastly, I extend our deep gratitude to all our Sangha members, our associate members and our lay supporters. Without you, there is no Australian Sangha Association. So with this, I commend to the meeting the Chair's report of the Australian Sangha Association activities for the year. Sava Mangalam, may all be auspicious. Okay. So then, if I can ask that the report be accepted. Can someone approve the report as the annual report?
Sure.
Ajahn Brahm
And
and Bhante Bodhidharma. Second. So next we move to the Treasurer's Report.
Yeah.
Bhante Bodhidharma, if you'd like to.
just ask everybody's.
Oh, everyone accepts the Chair's report. Aye. Yes. Hearing no dissenters.
Can I ask a question before you go?
Please ask a question.
How would you like members online to contribute to the future of the ASA, and do you have a vision for how we can grow in the next 3 years?
Personally, I don't have a vision for how we grow in the next 3 years, but it is something that we will be discussing. I think the idea that Venerable Metaji put forward just very briefly over the morning tea break of having more forums, and I think we have discussed this a few times, to engage members in forums. And so it may entail sending out another survey or what topics people would like for that, just as similarly as we do for the AGM coming up. So that's one way. So the incoming committee will be discussing, I think, different strategies to reach out to members, and always members are welcome to, in any case, not waiting for something to come to you to make suggestions back. It's wonderful to have these times to be able to have forums until such time as we can have physical gatherings together. We can work towards that. But at least for the moment, we can reliably say we can have the online forums continue, and that way more people can engage. Yes. So if I can now ask Bhante Bodhidharma to give the Treasurer's Report. Yes, please, if you'd like to come here.
That's fine, I can stand.
Okay.
All right, so it's going to be quite quick and easy anyway. So we submitted 2 reports for the year 2020. So back then we had 14 transactions, a few donations as well. This year we actually just had 2 transactions, or sorry, the past year in 2021. So that was quite easy. One for meaningful aging and the one we have to do for New South Wales fair trading anyway. So just, you know, really the bare minimum because of COVID as well. So you can see that on the screen there. So we had $26,599.11 at the beginning of the year, and then $26,441.90 at the end of the year. And I propose the report to be accepted by the committee. Thank you.
Yes, proposed, seconded, accepted. All those in favour? Aye.
Very good.
Right.
And since I've been doing this job for 2 years, I'll be stepping down from Treasury, but I'm happy to support it from the background.
Thank you so much
Very good.
for your
Okay.
background support. Wonderful. As we can see, the Treasurer's job is not too onerous.
Not yet.
Yet. Okay, so next we move to a dissolution of the old committee. And so for this, I stand down and we have independent scrutineer, in other words, someone who's not on the committee. So we have Venerable Drolka has kindly accepted to be our scrutineer. So I think I just hand over to you now. Is this correct?
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's start my video. Okay. So
I think, Drolka, if you talk slowly, it's breaking up slightly. So if you can talk slowly.
okay.
Hi.
I'd like to firstly thank the previous committee members and declare the and at we hope there's a and then
Venerable Drolka, it's breaking up a little bit. If you could switch your camera off and see if the sound improves. Are you able to switch your camera off?
Is that better?
Yeah, it
Is
is a
it
bit
off?
better. It's off, yes, and it's better.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, as mentioned by the public officer who was previously appointed and approved by previous ASA, was Venerable from whom Sunim, and she has made again for the role previously accepted by the members, and as she made easy vote on it is
One moment, Venerable Drolka, it's breaking up quite a bit, so we're just if you could pause just a moment.
Can we have someone here?
I mean, there is the option for her to call in. Yeah, we just, that might help.
okay.
Call in on the phone.
Yes, and then next would be better.
You maybe.
Are you able to call in on the?
Phone? Can someone phone me or
Oh, we would like you to go out of the Zoom and call in on the phone number. I'm just got to see which
Okay.
number. Before you do, I'll give you the phone number.
I've just cancelled the. No, I've just cancelled the video and it's much clearer. Is that better?
That's a lot better.
Yeah, it's much better. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I've turned off the video. Okay, I'll start again. I don't have good internet here. Sorry.
That's much better.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I can't see you and you can't see me. Okay. I'd like to, first of all, thank the previous committee members and in particular executive and those that have represented the ASA so well in the last year for all their efforts. And I would now like to declare that the committee is open for election. And I would like to say that as agreed at previous AGMs, there is to be a distribution of traditions amongst the committee members and gender equity on the committee, and if possible on the executive committee. As Venerable Choki previously mentioned in her report, Venerable Bonhoom Sunim has been the public officer elected by previous ASA committees, and she has again nominated for this role. So thank you, Venerable. Is that accepted by the committees? And if the chair agrees, we'd like to have this year, due to the number of people on Zoom, that as is under certain tradition rules, you can show acceptance by silence. So you only have to disagree. Is that acceptable to the chair that we do it voting that way? Okay, yes, thank you. All right, so I'd like to now, if you agree with Venerable Bonhoom Sunim staying as the public officer, remembering that someone must be located in New South Wales to do this role. If you accept, please be silent, and if you disagree, please say something now. Okay, thank you. I believe that is accepted. I'd also like to note at this time there is a new official address of the ASA, and that is number 22 Bong Bong Road, Mittagong, New South Wales. And again, this position needs to have an address in New South Wales under our rules of formation. So I'd like to start the nominations for office bearers. And as mentioned by Venerable Jaja, a person can only do the same role for 2 years. So the first two nominations that we have that were presented to the committee before the AGM, they fit these rules. The rule is met. The first role was for chairperson. So Venerable Tempa, Venerable Tempa has been nominated by Bhante Bodhidharma and by Venerable Monisara. So no one else has nominated for this role at this time. So unless anyone would like to nominate from the floor, anybody? No, okay, thank you. None. Then I will declare that this position has been elected unanimously unopposed. So congratulations, Venerable Tempa, as the new chairperson for the forthcoming year. I'd like to move now to the Treasurer's position because, again, this has a nomination, and Agam Brahm has been nominated by Bhante Bodhidharma and Venerable Meti. Again, No other nominations from the floor at this time, is there? Okay, thank you. In that case, I'd like to say that this position, Ajahn Brahm has been elected to Treasurer unanimously unopposed. Anyone disagrees with either of those? No disagreements?
Venerable Drolka.
Thank you, Venerable. Oh, yes.
Venerable Drolka. We had a
Yes.
there was an email sent to you, but only very recently. We do have nominations for Vice Chair and Secretary. So.
Oh, I didn't get that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Inbox.
That's okay. So I can say, if you want to go back to Vice Chair.
Okay.
I have been nominated for that.
Oh, here we go. All right, so here we go. Please update your material. Oh, okay. Scrutiny. Oh, wonderful. Vice Chair. Venerable Choki has been nominated by Venerable Metaji and Ajahn Brahm and Bhante Bodhidharma and Venerable Manasara and Venerable Metaji. Wow, she's really popular, and because she does a wonderful job. As no one else has nominated for this position, does anyone disagree? I think you'd be in trouble if you did. You'd have to deal with those four. In that case, I'd like to say that Venerable Choki has been elected unanimously unopposed for Vice Chair. And just going back to the email. Oh, so for Secretary position, which is a really, really important position and takes a lot of effort and work, Venerable Metaji, who I know will do a great job, has been nominated by Ajahn Brahm and Bhante Bodhidharma. So would anybody disagree with Venerable Metaji being the secretary for the forthcoming year? Okay, thank you. I take your silence as acceptance, so I can say with much happiness, as the committee probably does, that Venerable Metaji will be the secretary. He was elected unanimously unopposed. I'd now like to move down to the election of the ordinary members, and we need a minimum of 3. So you may have it in front of you, but in case you don't, I will read that Bhante Bodhidharma has been nominated as an ordinary member by Venerable Tempa and Venerable Hojun Futin. Venerable Metaji, he has now nominated a secretary, so we move to Venerable Hojun Futin, has been nominated by Bhante Bodhidharma and Venerable Tempa as an ordinary committee member, and Venerable Kantika has been nominated by Venerable Munisara and Venerable Analaya as an ordinary member. So are there other nominations from the floor? I can't see, so if someone would have to tell me, please, for ordinary committee members. Now, this isn't an arduous role. It's a meeting once a month. All the information sent to you a few days prior, and you phone in and do a Zoom meeting once a month. If you can't make it, that's okay. So would anyone else like to be involved as an ordinary member on the ASA committee? No? Okay. Well, thank you to those people that have nominated. I would like to propose that the ordinary members, as outlined by me, be accepted. Again, show acceptance by silence. If you disagree, please say something.
I think we need a second. I'm happy to second.
Oh, okay. Yes, you're welcome to second. And who, Venerable, couldn't hear who that was.
Munisara.
Munisara? Thank you, Venerable, and thank you for your work in the past year. So there, I would like to say that those members, Venerable Bhante Buddhadaja, Venerable Hajun Futin, and Venerable Kantika are members of the ordinary members of the committee. And having done my role now for the year, I'd like to pass back to the chairperson, which is Venerable Choki. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Venerable Drawper, for being our scrutineers again. Okay, so we do have other roles in ASA, and so nominations for web administrator, Bhante Buddhadaja, can we nominate? I will.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't fill out a form, and it's not an official.
It's not an official one, so
if anyone else wishes to do the job, I'm
No.
very happy to.
Very happy for you to do.
Okay, happy to carry on.
I don't think it's one that we need voting on, correct? It's just we say. And then for publications such as the newsletter, I think this might come along with the secretary role, but open to. It's a deal. Thank you, Venerable Metaji. And as I mentioned in the chair's report, that we need also a representative for Meaningful Aging Australia. Thank you very much to Venerable Chikwang Sunim for holding that space in the last year, but that will need to be filled by the committee, unless there's somebody here ready to take on that role. Which again, is not a very big role.
And if it could be someone in Melbourne, because they're based in Melbourne.
They are based in Melbourne, and that's what makes it difficult and to be able to participate in their forums. Okay. All right, so we can put that out to the members. Then Venerable Bonham Sunim has done an amazing job, as we mentioned, on the Religious Advisory Committee to Defence Forces. And Venerable, if you are able to just give a brief report of your report, because you have done so much work and we've been sent such a beautifully presented report on Buddhist chaplaincy training for ADF, very inspiring. So over to you to be able to speak to that, if you will.
So thank you very much, Venerable Choki, and great to be here for the AGM again this year. And just greetings to all my monastic friends and also to our associate members and friends who are here with us today. This report, I don't know whether it's actually been sent, but it was, I really only sent the final version through yesterday. So even if you received it in your email, you probably haven't had a chance to look at it. So there's a bit of reading in there, and I don't want to go through the whole document. But I just want to give you a little bit of background for people who don't know anything about this project. So, you know, I've actually been in the Australian Defence space now for 10 years. When I say that, I just think, my goodness, where has that time gone? But for the first few years, I was engaged in an outer committee to the Religious Advisory Committee. And in 2019, the Defence actually took the initiative to set up the Multi-Faith Religious Advisory Committee. Now, this committee is, well, as the name suggests, it's an advisory body of representatives of each of the different faith traditions and main Christian denominations. The faith traditions include Muslim, Sikh, Hindu, Buddhist, and is that all? I think so. So we meet. Well, we meet probably 4 or 5 times a year, often for a few days in Canberra. And at that time, the Director Generals of Chaplaincy of each of the services, Army, Air Force and Navy, are also present at that meeting. And so we really get a good kind of oversight of what's happening in the defence space in terms of chaplaincy. Now, the role of each of the RACS members is, partly as an advisory function into the defence space, but also recruiting in the particular faith tradition is one of the main roles. So over a period of since 2019, we now have 6 active candidates in the recruitment space, and probably about 3 of them should transition into active chaplaincy over the next year. Now, they're all really, really amazing candidates. I mean, I think I'm very grateful for the people who stepped forward wanting to follow this path. Each of them has something different. I don't know whether, Venerable Choki, you can kind of just bring that document down a little bit and show people the
document's online.
Yes, if you just move it down a little bit and give people a bit of, down, so they can see the faces more at this stage. So we actually have 5 men in this space at the moment and 1 woman, and they all bring quite unique characters and skills and experience into this space. So that's the candidates, and so I work very, very closely with them. About 2 weeks ago, I actually had hosted a Zoom meeting to bring them all together for the first time. And so that was a very interesting experience for them, that they could actually see and meet each other. And so they've decided that they want to set up a WhatsApp communication and be in touch with each other. And so I really encourage that, because once they're on the ground in the chaplaincy space in defence, there will never be a great number of Buddhist chaplains in the Defence Force. So, they will be singular wherever they are, most likely, and they might be thousands of kilometres apart in different continents, in different services. And so this connection with each other and building a Buddhist culture as an aspect of the multi-faith culture in the defence space is going to be really important, as well as the ability for each of them to support each other in all sorts of ways when they're in that space. So I also developed, in conjunction with the ASA committee some time back. So I should say that this project is actually it's part of the ASA responsibility. So I'm actually at this point the representative of ASA in that space. I won't always be. I'll move on. At the moment, I just need to stay and get people a little bit settled, and then I'll move out and someone else from the ASA nomination will come into that space. So we actually devised an entry pathway for Buddhist candidates prior to the multi-faith. It was a Christian chaplaincy, wholly Christian. So all of the chaplains who were serving in defence were Christians. And this is still, very much the case. But bringing the multi-faith into that mix means that we do begin not only to bring candidates, as I say, there will be small numbers of each of us, but we do speak into that space in all sorts of other ways. For example, we were asked to contribute to defence values. So defence has a set of values that they establish their practice on, and we were asked to bring each of our faith or denominational positions, some statement which mirrored those values in terms of our own faith practices and doctrines. So that's one way that then becomes something that is very formalised, and it is very formalised now in the defence space. Other things that we've done, we've put together conjointly a resource for all chaplains, all serving chaplains in defence, which includes doctrinal references, examples of services for different, different situations that defence is very traditional in this way of ceremony, and so we were asked to to kind of provide some something in that ceremonial way for the different occasions from our tradition. The resource also includes examples of services, daily services, and funeral, memorial services. So all of this I put together representing the three different traditions, so the Theravada, the Mahayana, and the Tibetan. So this becomes, a working document. It becomes a resource for all chaplains, because at times, as we won't have Buddhist chaplains in every context ever. And so there may be a time that a Christian chaplain actually has to convene a memorial service, for example, for someone who is identified as Buddhist. And so they can use this resource as a guideline to conduct that service. So that's another thing. I've been engaged also in the Women in Chaplaincy working group now for some time. And this Women in Chaplaincy, it's been a difficult journey, as we can imagine. Women in public life is difficult in all sorts of ways. And so, we have come together, and they asked for my my help into that space to really speak into, the commanding space of ADF to improve the conditions for women, access to promotion, access to training, education, etc., and just access to, to pathway into chaplaincy, because within the Christian denominations, not all, so that their baseline has been that the person who comes into chaplaincy has to be an ordained minister or priest, and they have to have completed a Bachelor of Theology. And so, obviously, a couple of those traditions, they don't recognise women in that ordination space. And so, we, as a working group, along with the Director Generals of Chaplaincy and the Religious Advisory Committee, have tried to find ways that we can bring women into that space who may be disadvantaged by the faith traditions, non-access for them into that ordination space. Our chaplains, from the beginning, I was clear in consultation with the ASA committee at that time that we were not going to just commit to bringing ordained people into the chaplaincy space, and for all sorts of reasons that we would understand. One is that we just don't have that capacity really, and there are so many difficulties, particularly for, I think, the Theravadan monastics to function in that space, but even for all of us to be actively engaged in the defence space does have its challenges for monastics. So right from the beginning, we've said to Defence that the people that we will nominate will be people largely from the lay Buddhist space. Of course, if there is someone in robes who really wants to take that path and they can see a way forward to do that, then obviously that would be highly regarded, but it's not for us a priority. And in that case, they would need to meet the same criteria as our other candidates. I think probably that's as much as I speak about now, because you've still got the meeting to complete. But look, I'm really happy you'll receive a copy of that, I think, by email, and I'm really happy to to answer any questions, have a conversation if you have any anything you want to talk about. Also, if you wanted to, excuse me, have an opportunity for a group kind of conversation around it, you could let the ASA committee know that that's something you'd like to do, and I can join that conversation if you like. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present something of that to you today.
Thank you so much, Venerable Sunim. It's so inspiring, as I mentioned earlier. Is there any questions people would like to raise at this point for Venerable Sunim while she's online? Either from someone online or someone here present? Well, that was very impressive, and thank you for continuing on in this space. I think it would be quite a challenge for anyone else to take it up, particularly at this point. So thank you.
I'm hoping to bed it down so that someone can move into it fairly, not seamlessly, because that will never happen, but at least, have the foundations.
Yes, a trainee. Thank you. Okay, so then our next item is the Sungo support circles, which originally were started heart circles, and now we're relaunching it, relaunching. So I invite Venerable Hojin to come online.
No, it's today.
Excuse
me for one quick moment, all right. Venerable Drocket, apologies. Yes. I'm on the phone with Venerable Chikwan Sunim, who's trying to actually get in. Could I have about 2 minutes? Is that okay?
Sure.
So,
Okay,
Venerable,
so
have you found the link for it? It's yeah, we just finished with the AGM. We're about to do a presentation. The AGM part is finished, yep, but we're still in part of, we're still continuing. The election part of it is completed, but we're still doing other aspects.
If she wants to stand, we can we can go back.
Sure.
I think she was saying that leaving the committee.
Yep.
She did say she was leaving the committee, yes. Yeah. If you The challenges of technology.
apologies for that.
Okay, that's fine.
Sangha
support circle.
Yep. So Venerable Chikwan is just coming into it now. So, Venerable Mechaji, if you're there, if you're able to put up the flyer, please.
It's coming up.
So as we'll wait for this, I'll just sort of start speaking. Yes, the Sangha support circle has been going for.
It's on the home page. Should we bring up the website with it on the home page? Sorry, Venerable Hojin, you continue
That's
on.
Right. That's right. So the Sangha support circle began over a year ago as a heart circle, and the history behind it comes from a survey that was done of the ASA membership a few years ago. And one of the things that was being asked in the survey in terms of what does the membership of the ASA want is this opportunity to actually connect with each other, possibly to connect across traditions, and if possible, to connect across states. There were a couple of events that were attempted to be held in a physical location that didn't necessarily prove to be effective. So the Heart Circle, as it was at that time, sort of started because involvement that I had with certain men's groups that went online because of COVID, and they created this concept of a Heart Circle, and I brought it across to the ASA. And so the Sangha Support Circle, as it's now called, is essentially an opportunity for monks and nuns of all the various different traditions to come together once a fortnight to actually support each other in our lives as Buddhist monastics here in Australia. And if you are a member of the ASA and you're from overseas, you're also more than welcome to join us. We don't have any sort of restriction in that sense. But in essence, it is a case for us to come together and to talk, to share. And we have a sense of strict confidence in what is being shared in the Heart Circle. It's never to be shared outside. And we come together to provide an opportunity of a sense of what's been happening to us over the last fortnight, or what have we encountered that perhaps raises concern for us within our practice as monastics. What would you like to share? What have been our successes? What have been our challenges? And during the course of the sharing, everyone basically holds space, essentially. Holds space for the person to be able to communicate, whatever is necessary for them to communicate at that particular time. There is no place for judgment. There is no place for comment even on what is actually being said, unless the speaker asks for advice or input into what they've actually spoken of. But generally speaking, it's a place for purely to share and to be purely heard and supported by your fellow Sangha members. So it meets once a fortnight. We used to meet on once a week on a Saturday. It's now once a fortnight on a Sunday. And this coming Sunday is the next support circle. We start at 7:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, or at 7 p.m. in Standard Time, just to be able to allow people from the East and the West to be able to meet and share the sort of time differences there. One of the other aspects of the Heart Circle, obviously there's the active in the sharing, but there's also a passive aspect of the Heart Circle. And this will be a little bit discussed, not necessarily in context of Heart Circle, but in one of the workshops later on today, in that sense of reflective listening. And so the Heart Circle provides the participant with the opportunity to actually listen within themselves to sort of see how they're actually responding to what has been spoken of by one of the other participants. So we actually got to check ourselves in terms of perhaps our beliefs, our values, our preferences, probably even sometimes our prejudices in regards to certain things. And can we actually hold space within ourselves to actually hold two points of view, one that is our own, one that is another's, without there necessarily being any sort of sense of a rising conflict? Can we, as we listen and we encounter things that sort of cause something to arise within us, can we actually look more deeply within ourselves to the cause of this arising? Can we sort of see what our fundamental core beliefs might actually be there that actually is incongruent with what's being said? And can we look at that with honesty and acceptance? So there's a bit of a two-way process there. One is the sense of actually being supported, to be able to share and to sort of like have your experience as a monastic, whether you're in community or whether you're, especially if you're solitary, to actually have that experience of your life as a Buddhist monastic held by other people and shared and accepted. And the other part of the circle is for us to actually look within ourselves to sort of see what is arising within us when we hear the voices of others in terms of their life experience as a Buddhist monastics as well, possibly from other traditions, possibly as a monk or non-differences, possibly from even differences across the states and how the different states might interact as Buddhists and outreach and whatnot. So there's a lot to sort of explore within oneself, a lot to sort of share with others in terms of being part of the Sangha support circle. that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It runs for roughly about an hour to sometimes an hour and a half. We're kind of flexible to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to be heard. Once we go around once with our sharing, we give another opportunity to go around for a shorter second time in case everyone wants to speak about something that may have arisen for them during the course of the first sharing. And generally speaking, it's considered to be of great support to be able to communicate with other members from across traditions and across the country of different ages and different genders as well, and to be able to sort of really sort of open ourselves up to one another in terms of what is our life like as a Buddhist monastic in Australia in the 21st century, and how does that sort of sit with the original teachings of Buddhism? How does it differ sometimes as well? There's a wonderfully supportive space to actually be in. We're fairly small at the present moment, but we have the opportunity, should the circle grow larger, to be able to offer breakout rooms for different other groups to sort of come in and actually be a part of it as well. So we are relaunching the Sangha Support Circle as of this AGM. We're sort of taking renaming it from the Heart Circle to Sangha Support Circle, taking it from weekly to fortnightly, from Saturday to Sunday. But we're maintaining the time around about 7:30 or 7 p.m. depending on the time of the year. So if you wish to know more information about it, we ask that you send an email through to the ASA, and that email will be forwarded to me, and I'll be more than happy to respond to that. If you have any questions, if you wish to join us, please also still email the ASA so that we can then send you the Zoom link. It is on Zoom, and I'll get that out to you so that you're able to participate with us then this coming Sunday or in a fortnight's time. More than welcome. If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those in terms of the Sangha Support Circle.
Thank you so much, Venerable Hojin. I guess we say it's officially launched or relaunched as the Sangha Support Circle. And are there any questions or comments people would like to raise now? Either if people have participated and want to add. I think Venerable Metaji's walking towards the microphone.
Thanks, Hojin, for bringing this initiative to the ASA, probably about 18 months ago now. What would you say to people listening in or who watch this later on YouTube? What benefits do you think it gives to monastics living in community and also monastics living on their own?
Okay, good question. Thank you. First of all, I'll start with solitary monastics. It has been in the history that we have it that most of the people who have joined in the past have actually been solitary. And it's been interesting that we've been solitary across at least 3 different states. And it has been at times the one opportunity for those monastics to actually connect on a regular basis with other monastics. To be able to actually, as we sort of said, I said before, but to share what has actually happened for them in the last week or the last fortnight, to gain a sense of Sangha, rather than being the solo monastic ministering to a community of lay people. It's been a point where they've been able to come together and so really sort of share exactly what it is to be themselves as a Buddhist monastic, wherever they've been located, going through whatever sort of circumstances or tribulations they've had, or again, celebrating the successes, celebrating the joys. We've spoken a lot of times about things like what happens when we change temples, what happens within outreach in terms of spiritual care in the various states and differences and their sort of experiences with that. We've spoken a bit about, again, the sort of challenges that our particular traditions may actually bring to us as monastics, and which might be different to what other monastics will be experiencing. In terms of those in community, it provides an opportunity for people to sort of see again what life is like in other communities around Australia. It provides an opportunity for people to sort of speak sometimes about what perhaps might be the difficulty that they're experiencing within their community, they're looking for support from, that perhaps they don't wish to actually raise within their community in case they might feel some sort of discomfort in doing so. So it provides that sort of, it's not necessarily anonymous, but it is certainly definitely confidential opportunity to sort of share about the challenges that we may experience in community, especially in smaller communities. But it also provides the opportunity for people to talk about how, sometimes wonderful those relationships within community can actually be, and sort of to celebrate that as much as well. So it is as much a part of sort of, really sort of reaching out across Australia to sort of see how other monastics are actually living their lives as Buddhist monastics, and sharing and celebrating the differences and the triumphs and all that sort of stuff that we have. So whether you're a solitary or whether you're in community, there is much to be gained in that support that comes from being part of the Sangha support circle.
Thanks very much. I'm a big supporter of it. I think it's a wonderful service. So thank you. And I'll just see if there's any questions on Zoom.
No, all good.
Perhaps, yep, it looks like further questions might come along subsequently. So thank you
As I
so
said,
much.
please feel free to email the ASA and the Secretary for the Monty. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that people may have in the next couple of days as well, of course.
Thank you so much. So that brings us to the end of our agenda for this AGM. So just to announce that the next AGM we anticipate will be on Tuesday, the 7th of March next year, 2023. Venue to be advised. Let's see if we can come together, gather together in a space. Anyway, so we at least moved from last year being completely on Zoom to being a hybrid event, and we're getting used to that in the world. So I'd like to, with that, declare this AGM of the Australian Sungo Association closed at 10:32 precisely, we think, depending on your